Welcome back to Scene Rundown. Let us watch the terminal list. Episode 1. Engram. Dr. Kahani, a specialist in chemical weapons, is the target of an operation carried out by Navy SEAL Lieutenant Commander James Reece. He is with his platoon of 14 SEALs in Syria with the assistance of an informant. All of the team, with the exception of Reece and his friend Ernest Boozer Vickers, perish in the ambush. When Reece is interviewed by the Naval Criminal Investigative Service, NCIS, he discovers that certain information is missing, which leads him to wonder what actually transpired on the mission. Once given his health clearance, he and Boozer take off for home. When Reece tells his closest friend, former SEAL and CIA operative Ben Edwards, about his mission, he dismisses any possibility of foul play. When Reece gets home, his wife Lauren and daughter Lucy find that he doesn't remember anything. Reece doesn't believe Boozer's account of his apparent suicide when he is discovered dead at his home the next day. He heads to a neighboring clinic late at night for a CT scan after realizing that headaches have been bothering him. He is ambushed by two men brandishing a gun he had stashed away in a house safe. Reece runs back out of fear for his family, only to discover with shock that Lauren and Lucy had passed away. Episode 2. Encoding. Along with his Mexican buddy Marco Del Toro and another friend, Elizabeth Liz Riley, a former Army pilot, Reece grieves the loss of Lauren and Lucy. Following their gathering, Reece returns home, still broken and longing for solitude. Reece takes precautions after learning something from Katie Berenek, an investigative journalist. She said that his case manager, NCIS agent Josh Holder, has not found any proof of his innocence to his family's death. In addition, he speculates that Holder may have been complicit in Lauren and Lucy's deaths, which makes him realize that he is a part of a domestic conspiracy. He creates his terminal list by taking a drawing of Lucy's that shows his family and writing Holder's name on the back. He then conducts a survey with Holder and then collaborates with Edwards to extract data from Holder's computer files. Reece meets with Secretary of Defense Lorraine Hartley in a bar, where she assures him that Kahani was eliminated in a different mission and is no longer a threat. Edwards informs Reece that Holder removed his biometrics, suggesting that Reece's suspicions were likely true even if he currently has no leads. Then, Reece enters Holder's flat covertly, questions him, and kills him in bed. He exits, having staged it as a suicide. Episode 3. Consolidation. Reece meets with Berenek and informs him of his suspicions after obtaining the second name to put to the terminal list: Saul Agnon, vice president of Capstone Industries. Berenek, on the other hand, dismisses Reece, saying that the clinic he visited had found a tumor on his skull. Reece acknowledges it despite his misgivings. After realizing that an operator, later revealed to be Adrian Gordonis, has been pursuing him, he outwits his potential killer, murders him, and flees. Now that Berenek is certain that Reece isn't completely insane, she makes a commitment to look for any link between his objective and Capstone, should one exist. Meanwhile, Talos security bodyguards are teaching Capstone CEO Steve Horn during lunch. Upon returning to the office, Agnon reveals the mission's failure to Gordonis. After Reece updates Edwards on Agnon, his companion heads to a golf tournament to observe their new target, where Agnon meets Dr. Mike Tedesco, the CEO of Nubellum Pharmaceuticals. In the meanwhile, Reece purchases methadone wafers from a strip club, which he uses to mix a methadone cocktail with alprazolam and carisoprodol. Alcohol is more easily absorbed from the mixture. It has the ability to suffocate the user by blocking the brain's respiratory response sensors. Reece breaks in and questions Agnon after he attends and finishes a party at his house. During their interrogation, Reece finds out about Horn, a project named RD4895, and a lawyer named Marcus Boykin, who paid sicarios to assassinate Reece's family. Reece kills Agnon covertly with the methadone cocktail, adding 2 more names to his list, then heads off to organize his next set of tasks. Episode 4. Detachment. To set up a sniper shot, Reece hikes up a mountain in the Wyoming back county. He kills Boykin in his car and copies information from his phone to deliver to Edwards. The FBI branch in Coronado begins working on Reece's case, which leads Tony Lahan, Mackenzie Mack Wilson, Junior Alba, and Nicole Deptol to discover Katie concealed at her brother Brian's beach house. She resists their attempts to question her since she thinks she can't trust anyone. She speculates that there might have been tumors in Reece's dead platoon as well. Horn wants to sell Tedesco's business, but Tedesco won't let it go without a clear agreement, which is why Horn and Tedesco are at conflict. Edwards follows the Sicario organization that caused Reece's family to perish. Reece wants to stay near Marco, so he gets stubborn when they talk about a mission. Marco's finest soldier shares this sentiment. Edwards attempts, but is unable, to reason with him. After then, the group finds out about Reece's tumor, which he attempted to conceal from them. Even though he takes medication to manage his symptoms, he is determined to kill Navajas, the fifth person on the list. Reece subdues Navajas, disembowels him, and lets him die after killing Navajas' gang. After that, he returns home. Episode 5, Disruption. Reece and Riley are preparing a mission to grab Horn in a hangar, getting past the FBI, who Reece has learned is after him and Buranek. In the heart of the financial district, at Capstone's headquarters no less, would be the simplest route. Horn and Tedesco's discord intensifies, despite their outward displays of amicability. Tedesco suggests that Horn might be interested in selling his company because of RD-4895 when Buranek confronts him about it. He then informs Buranek about this experimental medication that was meant to treat PTSD by preventing the brain from registering trauma. But Horn abruptly put an end to the study, leading him to assume that Capstone's CEO had tested it on Reece's troop illegally. Sent by Talos agents to assassinate Tedesco and Buranek, Horn knows that Tedesco is spying on him. Tedesco dies, but Buranek lives after murdering one and is rescued by Reece, to whom she reports her discoveries. Additionally, Reece finds out that shell business owners were involved. Threatening Buranek, Reece grabs the material as she tries to withhold it out of uncertainty and fear. He discusses the information with Edwards the next day and finds out that Gerald Pillar, his admiral, Leonard Howard, his captain, and Bill Cox, his commander, were also engaged. Feeling betrayed and furious, Reece builds an explosive projectile and uses it to ambush Horn at Capstone Industries, putting many lives in danger, including Buranek's, but killing Horn and his bodyguards before fleeing without causing any casualties among the general population. Episode 6, Transients. Reece had visited his in-laws 2 weeks ago to discuss getting retribution for their daughter and grandkids. He is currently evading the FBI and the cops. Riley begins to fear about Reece's mental health, but Edwards reassures her that everything will be all right. Reece is able to slip away from the FBI for a little while, but he has forgotten the medication that was helping to regulate his symptoms and is bleeding from an arm wound. In a frantic attempt to deal with Reece, the FBI dispatches HRT, SWAT, and every other tactical person they can muster. But Reece's experience and early advantage allow him to keep his distance. Reece remembers a training session at the beach where he wrote down 5 names and 3 more. His memory lapse causes him to reflect on how he was misled. He keeps playing the cat and mouse game with the FBI, taking from them an explosives package, and escaping with Layun's life when he was shot in the head. Layun tries to play mind games with Reece once they find out that he has been listening to the radio communications in an attempt to break him. But Reece is resilient because of his sadness and anger at being a parent and a widower. Lion is threatened by him to avoid his path. Even when the FBI finds him and pursues him further, he has set up an ambush with explosives. He threatens Wilson, who doesn't heed his threats, and then he starts a mudslide that buries them both. Before he escapes, he manages to spare Wilson from being buried alive. Riley accepts his apology and gives him encouragement to keep going. Then, just before they organize their upcoming round of missions, he meets Edwards at a California beach. Episode 7, Extinction. Secretary of Defense Lorraine Hartley labels Reece a domestic terrorist. The FBI's Coronado division starts to lose hope. But a scared Buranek provides them with the clue they need to uncover Reece's intentions. They are given access to an accounting record of all the people who profited from Nubellum transaction, known as a capitalization table. They identify the shell corporations at play, find out that Pillar, Howard, and Cox are Reece's next targets. They devise a fresh strategy to apprehend him. Reece and Edwards are making their own scheme to assassinate all 3 in the meantime. For one of his targets, Reece makes a suicide vest with 2 claymore mines inside. Although Pillar is aware that Hartley is fabricating an investigation against him in order to protect herself, He stands by his statement on the mission that claimed Reece's deceased troop. Howard tries to flee when Edwards tries to get in touch with him for more legal trump cards, but Edwards kidnaps him along with his wife Anne and son TJ. After finding Cox outside of a pub, Reece subdues him, questions him to get additional details, and then drowns him in the Pacific. Then, Reece threatens Howard by mentioning his family and stating that they will either perish with him or separately. Following orders, Howard dons the suicide vest, gets blasted along with Pillar, who initially tries to plead with Reece for his life. Layun tells Berenek that the experiment is now legal, even though the FDA has not approved it. After learning that Hartley and the Department of Defense approved RD 4895, Berenek intends to publish an article based on this discovery. Layun tries to grab Reece again, but he escapes, and Hartley kidnaps Berenek under false pretenses. Episode 8 Reclamation. Reece gets the 9th name to add to his list after finding out that Hartley authorized RD 4895 and ordered the ambush mission. He travels with Edwards to go to her while discovering that Berenek has also been abducted. They successfully pass the LA FBI branch, which took over the case from the Coronado branch. In an attempt to settle the score with Reece, Layun and Wilson enlist HRT's assistance to capturing Reece and Hartley so that both may face justice. After abandoning CID, Reece and Edwards murder a number of Talos operatives that Hartley recruited to kill Reece for her personal purposes. Before Reece enters her mansion, he kills his way to her safe room. Berenek pleads with Reece to spare Hartley, but his need for vengeance is too great. Reece departs after Layun, who realizes that Reece was misled, wrongly pursued, and nearly dead.
Don't make me shoot you!
I am already dead.
Lets him go after Hartley kills herself. Regretfully, Reece learns that he needs to add a 10th name to his list. With Berenek's assistance, he painstakingly learns that this is Edwards, who, while acknowledging his involvement in the mission, Anguish fully denies any involvement in Lauren and Lucy's deaths, saying that he assisted Reece out of repentance. Then Edwards lets Reece murder him. Reece recalls a flashback that he had experienced before, but couldn't quite place. After glancing at the terminal list one final time with regret, he turns it over to view Lucy's family drawing. He weeps for his losses once again. Thank you for watching. Season 2, prequel is coming. Please like and hit the subscribe button.